I love to focus on gratitude. That's actually something that I teach in my coaching program is, gratitude along the way. You might not be where you want to be, but you need to, have gratitude along the journey. And when you live in gratitude, there's hope and healing. It doesn't, if you're not grateful, there's no healing that can happen, because when you are grateful, there's joy, there's love, there's peace. And in those things, healing can happen. So one of the things that I do myself and I teach my clients is, writing down or even saying each day 3 things you're grateful for. And it could literally be like, I'm grateful that the sun's shining. I'm grateful that I can look at trees. I'm grateful I'm breathing. But just, if you're someone that lives in a victim mindset, one of the first things that you should do is start focusing on gratitude, no matter how small or how big. Because at the end of the day, if you don't have gratitude and you recognize those things, if you one day, get to making millions of dollars and you didn't have gratitude along the way, you're not going to be grateful when you have millions of dollars. It's just not going to happen because you didn't learn how to be grateful and enjoy the journey and the process, no matter how hard and difficult it can be. But if you didn't learn those things along the way, you're also not going to be happy when you get to millions.
Yeah. Well, I love where you have gotten in your life. You are, as it says on the front of your book, The Anthropology of an Amish Girl Turned Global CEO. Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about Lizzie Ens today. How did you come to functional nutrition, become a coach? I love the idea of Undiet You. And I love the idea of, I am so glad that we've gotten to a place as a society where it's not about dieting and being skinny, but it's really about feeling good and not just feeling fine. Because I feel like a lot of people, if they just feel fine, that's kind of like enough, because so many people feel so awful all the time that people put up with really the bare minimum, when really, if we are intentional and mindful about our nutrition and our wellness, we can feel so much better than fine. So tell me a little bit about your business and how you coach people.
Absolutely. So I work as a board certified functional practitioner. My career started in this health field, started as a personal trainer. And it actually stems all the way back to when I was getting my GED. And this is where knowing where you want to go and what your gut is telling you stems from, and really paying attention to those things. When I got my GED and I was studying for that, my GED teacher was amazing. And she was the first person to ever ask me, like, what do you want to be? Who do you want to be? You can do anything that you want. Do you want to go to college? You want to be a nurse? What do you want to do? Figure out what you want to do and what you're passionate about. And it was in the studying of my GED that I discovered that I really enjoyed science. And not in a way that most people think, but like, how do things really work? And it was while I was studying, which was not easy, by the way, because there were a lot of things that I had no clue. I did pass the first time, but it was not easy. And I just, the GED, I didn't know, I had never studied science, history, algebra, nothing like that. So that was—
You guys got an 8th grade education?
Mm-hmm. Only 8th grade education, and just the basic stuff like math, English, reading, spelling, German. We learned German too. But I just remember this is where it actually started. I was working at a nursing home at the time, and I had it on my mind, like, what do I want to do? And I had my back turned towards the TV in a patient's room. And there was a commercial that came on, and it was talking about nutrition. And they said something very specific. And I literally turned around and pointed at the TV and said, that's what I'm going to do. And that was the beginning of me realizing, like, I'm really passionate about health. And I had gone through, and this leads into my business today and why my business is called Undiet You. I had gone through many fad diets, eating disorders. It started when I was a teenager as an Amish girl, getting bullied for my weight because of being a little bit bigger than my twin. So a whole bunch of stuff can be unraveled there. But that led me into eating disorders and major body dysmorphia, terrible relationship with my body after I left. And then I also discovered, we cooked everything from scratch. When I was at home, when I left, I was like, oh, gee, I can just buy a microwavable food and stick it in the microwave. Cool, let me do that. I don't have to cook. And then I discovered fast food drive-thrus, and I was like, I can just drive through here and get a burger and fries. Cool, this is awesome. 20 pounds later, I was like, something's wrong. This is not cool. And I started fad dieting. I started doing all kinds of different diets to like quickly lose the weight. And it was just this ripple effect of terrible decisions, with health. And then what I realized at the time, or even later on, is that none of that even made me happy. Like, it didn't matter how much dieting I did. I was still always disappointed. And fast forward a few years, I got certified as a personal trainer. I was like, this is really cool. I can work out. I can tell other people how to move their bodies, train them. 2 months into training on the gym floor, I was like, this is not it. Like, this is a small fraction of what helps people. I need to do more. So I went right back to school and I studied holistic health and got certified as a holistic health coach. And that was kind of like the beginner. And that's where I learned a lot. Fast forward to the year of 2020, when I was still working as a trainer. That's when I got the nudge again, where God was like, time to go do your own thing. You got to do your own thing. And I did. I decided it was August. And this is why making plans and like putting things in place with your goals is really, really important. So it was August and I hired a business coach. And I said by December, I'm going to be done training in person and I'm going to go fully online. And I did. I said, this is my goal. And I did. And that's what I did. By December, I quit training in person. I went fully online and I built it from there. But at the same time, I went back and studied functional health. So the functional health is what really allowed me to dive a lot deeper on the anatomy, the physiology, and study hormones and thyroid and autoimmune and all of that stuff, which I'm really, really passionate about. So my business today is as a functional practitioner, and I focus in on hormones and thyroid and cortisol and sleep issues, like you name it. Like, I have so many testimonials from people. Like, I have this one gal that I worked with last year. She had gone $80,000 in debt from the medical industry, trying to figure out what's wrong, and nobody could tell her like what was wrong, and it was just this vicious cycle. And she came to me and I was like, they're looking at the wrong places. And now she was in near kidney failure. Her liver was close to failing. Her heart enzymes were way off the charts. And she just told me yesterday that, and we looked at her blood work again, because I run blood work for people, and everything is perfect. Like, and her endocrinologist and her regular doctor are like, we need to talk to this person. Like, what is she doing? Because they couldn't figure it out for 20 years. And
do you
now
think it's just because Western medicine looks at the wrong things in general?
A lot of times they're looking at so the way that Western medicine has its place. I'm not saying that it doesn't. It absolutely has its place. Is the system failing people? 100%. I talk to people every single week, and they're in similar places where they're like, no, your labs say you're fine. You're good, but they feel like absolute shit and they're not getting the help. So yes, the system is failing people. And what we have to remember is they're taught how to look for diagnosis. And when they're looking for diagnosis and those diagnoses aren't there, they can't really help the people. What we do in the functional field is we look for the missing pieces of the puzzle. What's your body deficient in? And our ranges of where we want to see people in the labs are completely different. So the lab ranges in the Western medicine are just way too vast, way too wide. An example is, a thyroid panel looks completely different in the functional field than in the Western field. And that's why so many people with hypothyroidism aren't getting the help that they need. But not only that, if you're looking at a thyroid condition in someone with hypothyroidism, it's more than just the thyroid. And in Western medicine, they're usually only looking at the thyroid. They're not looking at what else is connected to the thyroid that needs help. Your thyroid problem is not just a thyroid problem. It's much deeper issue than that. Why did your thyroid all of a sudden go off? Why are the levels all, it's not the thyroid, it's other things that are leading to that. And that's the missing piece of Western medicine, is that they're not looking at the connecting dots, which is unfortunate.
It's so fascinating, Lizzie, because, for somebody who had an 8th grade education and was just held back from so much of science, I mean, where you have taken your career is, it's incredibly advanced. It's incredibly intuitive. And I have to almost imagine, though, that, your intuition from living and working amidst biology, right? Like humans and animals and ecosystems, it had to have helped. I think it probably led into this perspective through which you view the world. Would you agree?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
I call myself very blessed and also lucky to have had the experience that I did, because I realized because there were years that I tried to hide where I was from because I didn't want people to know, but now I embrace it. And the reason that I tried to hide it is that I didn't want people to think I was stupid. So I would, try to hide it. And then eventually I got to this place where I was like, I don't really care anymore. Like, I know who I am, and think whatever you want to think. And I know on social media, 100%, there are certain people that still discredit you because you grew up the way that you did. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, I know who I am, and I know how many people's lives I have changed. That's my job. And it doesn't matter, because I am for many people, but I am not for everybody. And that's okay. And,
I love it.
But having that perspective of growing up there and having the ability to then leave and create this whole new life, I know that because of all that, I have the ability to see things differently, have a broader horizon of how I view things, and be okay with believing or thinking differently than, the one straight line per se.
Yeah.